was. And so considering the amount of culture shock that I personally went through, I'm glad and I stick with that decision.
Right. So speaking of culture shock, you
Mhm.
moved to Ghana and you had never even been out of the country before.
Mhm.
As far as living, you've been a military brat, so you've been different places, but you lived on military bases, which is pretty much like living in the US, just in another
Yeah.
place. So when you got on the plane with your baby and your husband and moved to the other side of the world, what was the initial move like? What was that like for you?
Okay, so leading up to getting on the plane, we actually stayed with my girl's dad and his wife for our final like 2 weeks.
Wow.
So we were cramped there and we tried to stuff everything we didn't put on the container, like a month's worth of stuff into what was it, six, eight bags. So
Yeah, yeah.
we did that. We had carried that. Remember, Quaker was two, so we had the stroller, the
Oh
car
God,
seat,
all of
luggage,
the
all of
baby
that.
stuff. Yeah.
I'm on the plane. I'm excited because like I said, even being in the military brat, I didn't live outside of the country. The furthest I lived was Hawaii.
Okay.
So, and I don't remember, which sucks. So, but yeah, but so we're on the plane. I'm kind of like, okay, this is great. But I was really more focused on my baby because I was like, oh my God, how this boy gonna act on this damn plane?
Right.
But he was okay. He was good. He went to sleep. My biggest thing was when we got to Istanbul. We had a 24-hour wait there.
Okay.
I did not realize, and this is when I realized I have American passport privileges, that did not apply for a visa for my husband at the time, and he needed one in order to be in Istanbul to stay at the hotel.
Oh wow.
So he ended up, oh, and they didn't speak English. So I'm fussing everybody out. Like, this is how I know I am not a good traveler in airports because I was cussing everybody out. I'm sure they didn't understand me, but I was mad because I was kind of like, why didn't you tell me? I didn't know. But that was my fault as a novice traveler. I should have
Right.
known.
Right.
So he ended up having to spend the night in the airport. And
Mm.
we went because he was just like, no, you guys go to the hotel, get freshened up. You have the baby, go. I'll be fine. He's like, I can camp out. And they gave him food vouchers and stuff.
Yeah.
So we camped out there. And I was so freaked out because number one, I have anxiety. Number two, I've never left the country. Number three, I'm by myself having to figure out this airport, go find where the hotel desk is. Nobody speaks English. Well, very, very few.
Very
And I
few.
have to go out of the airport to a hotel in a country I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. But it was okay. We made it through. Got back, met up, arrived in Accra at I believe it was one of those late flights. It had to be like 9 or 10 or maybe 6 because I remember it was really dark. So it was probably like 6 because we don't have daylight savings time here.
Yeah.
So we were met at the airport with some of his mom's close friends that live there.
Mhm.
And we went to a hotel. They bought us all these things of food, jollof, some stew, and all of this stuff. Set us up at the hotel and left. And I just remember wanting to jump on the bed because this is days of traveling. And
Yeah.
I remember wanting to flop on the bed and instead of flopping and bouncing,
You
I
just
went, yes, smack. I was like,
like,
what in the hell? Are we in a prison camp? Why is this mattress so damn hard? So yeah, that was my first like, okay. But
yeah.
I remember after all of that, sitting outside, having my little smoke and just breathing in the air and just being in awe, like looking at the sky, looking at the dirt, looking at like the lizards going by and like just little things and just being like, wow, I'm really like
In
I'm
another place.
motherland, like I'm here. And I was never one of those ones who was like, I'm moving to Africa, I'm going da 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 da. I was never that type, but I just felt it though. When I was there,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm here. I'm in a new place. It's interesting, like da 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 da. So yeah.
So you, like myself, you weren't the typical repat.
Mm-hmm.
We both came with our families as, my husband is Ghanaian. We decided after he had been here for 2 years and he wasn't with it. He was like, we need to start planning. Actually, he was here for like 2 weeks and he was like, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
So I moved just as a wife, my family. Um, it wasn't about I like that. I moved like, yeah, I want to move to Ghana because I don't like living in America. I don't feel safe, and I don't want to be here anymore. And there has to be a better way to live. So when you got to Ghana, you're there. You're not really. You don't know anybody. You don't. How did you get yourself um, acquainted with the place?
I feel like one of the benefits for me is that because I was married to a Ghanaian, and also another thing that was great was because he came from like a privileged background. So we had a nice place to stay. We didn't really go through like a lot of stuff, and we had people already there. Um, Getting acquainted. I honestly feel like I wasn't really acquainted all the way for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was kind of like I'm a fan, and I'm a fan of telling people you need to experience things.
Yeah.
And back then, around the time we all came, we didn't have Facebook groups and a lot of YouTubes or any of those things. We had like white people blogs, that were talking about how they lived here. There wasn't really anybody from our perspective talking
Right.
about this.
Right.
So I didn't even know anybody that was from the States that was Black American and female that lived here at that time. So it took me a long time to get acquainted, like a
What year
long.
was it that you moved?
It was in 2012, I believe. 2012, I think. Yeah,
2012. Yeah. Because
it was
I
that
moved
summer. Yeah,
in 20, I moved in 2014, but I didn't meet you until 2015.
yeah.
Because
No,
by
no, no. I met you 2014 because I was pregnant with Lovey. She was born November. Yeah, she was born November 2014.
wow.
Yeah, you were there
All the
before. I think
time.
you were there for like a year before.
Okay. So we were talking about you getting acquainted with Ghana.
Mhm.
How did you said it probably took you about 3 years to get yourself
Yeah.
acquainted. Um, what did you do to do that? Like what did it take for you to start feeling better
Huh.
about it?
I think for me, I think I started to just kind of move around and do my own thing. You know what I mean? Finding my own group of friends, because the hardest thing is like when you move here, especially with the spouse, the first thing you're usually hanging out with is their friends. And
Mm-hmm.
you realize I don't really have a lot in common with a lot of Ghanaian women here that were born and raised here. There are just certain things that I like to talk about. And Black American women tend to be a lot more open.
Right.
We also drink, we also party a little bit, we talk smack, and even the way we relate to our husbands. Like I was friends with some women, like you see that how they relate with their spouses and stuff, and I'm just like, oh no, man, like I can't relate.
Yeah.
And then so it's stuff like that. Um, I just had to get my own group, find my own tribe, really, find my own group of people, getting out by myself and not feeling nervous. I swear, I tell people Uber was like the best thing ever here because, like, the taxi drivers, they always used to try to scam me and get me on some craziness, but Uber was like the best thing ever because I hated haggling and I still hate haggling. Like, I even walk away if I have to haggle. I don't do it. Yeah, I just don't do it. I already got people I go to, or I send like the nanny to go and do it.
Yeah,
But
before you got people who could do it for you, before you were able to make that I guess connection or get those people in place for you, how did you go about navigating all of the different things? Like culturally it's very different, so how did you go about, like, for instance, you have to go into the market or into the grocery store or whatever. Of course, if you go into the supermarket, you don't have to worry about it. But if you needed to go into the market or you needed to go to buy something that you couldn't get in a regular market, how did you manage those things?
I would send my ex-husband. He would go and get it. But honestly, the first time I went into a actual market was with one of like my ex-husband's like aunties. We went, it was in La Paz, and it was that market. And it was the first time I've been into a market. And we went in there, and she was shopping for, like, I think she was making contombre or something, and she was buying all of the ingredients for it. And I was like asking her, how much is this? How much is this? And of course, by the end of it, I forgot. But I was writing stuff down as well because I was more interested in learning how to make the sauce, right?
Right.
So, and then so we go to the market, and I remember we go into the meat section, and I think it was at that moment the last time I decide to buy food in the market.
What was it about that experience that made you like, oh hell no?
It was open, and it was all kind of meat near together, just hanging, and flies everywhere. And I was still new. It was like maybe a month or so in, and I was like, no, that's not going to happen ever. So I may buy fruits and veggies, but I've always lived, there was like a little container shop somewhere and stuff like that. And eventually you get to know, I would listen to other people do it, right? They'll be like, no one ever says, give me tomatoes, right? Like, give me like a kilo of tomatoes, and then there's a set price. People go to the market and they're like, oh, give me 10 CD tomato. Give me 3 CD onion or 1 CD garlic.
Right.
And so after I would see that, and I would know how much I'm supposed to get. Like, even now I'll walk to the corner container and be like, give me 10 CDs tomato. And if it's too small, I'm like, oh, madam, why? Yeah. If I send my girl down here, you give her more. She's like, oh, sorry. And then she'll ask some more and stuff like that. And then it's also building relationships as well with the people, like the vendors around you. They start to see you walking through the neighborhood. I walk through the neighborhood because I like to walk. And just, shopping there, I don't buy vegetables in the little grocery stores. I buy most of them by the roadside because I like to support them,
Right.
So that, before all of that, yeah, that's what I do. And I still do once in a while. Yeah, but I don't do markets, no ma'am.
I actually started with the grocery store and moved towards the markets more because it was, I would buy all of my like non-meat items in the market, and then I would go like to the supermarket to get, like, I want some ground beef or I want my chicken, or whatever. I would buy there if unless my husband like went and got it, because like you, I just seeing it out like that, it just, I couldn't do it.
What's messed up is my mom worked in food safety, so I'm super OCD about meat and how it's handled. So I'm like,
it's cringeworthy. So as far as housing goes,
for more on this video, please click the link in the description below. Thank you.